Hello students, here is Divya Singh, Assistant Professor, School of Computer Application. So, now in this lecture, we will study the Mobile Commerce Framework. The mobile commerce application require a reliable wireless network infrastructure to move the information and execute transaction in a distributed environment. These applications also rely upon two keys component technology, that is the information publishing technology necessary for creation of suitable digital contents that can be browsed through handheld devices with limited memory, storage for processing capabilities, and information distribution technology to move digital contents and transaction information over wireless networks. Thus, in a mobile commerce framework, network infrastructure forms a very foundation while publications and distribution technologies are the two pillars that support the creation of distributed mobile commerce application. In addition to technological infrastructure and application for electronic commerce to flourish, it is essential to have a business service infrastructure. The business service infrastructure comprises of directory services, location and searches devices and trust mechanisms for private, secure, reliable and non-repeatable transactions along with online financial settlements mechanisms that that operate over the wireless network. Now, see in this architecture, the information dissemination and distribution middleware protocol WAP-I mode and the mobile commerce applications. Next is business service infrastructure, legal framework, and protocol network standards. Next, mobile payment models. Next, security encryption techniques. Next, the mobile devices compatible publishing languages, that example WML, CHTML, voice XML, etc. And this whole combination will become the wireless network infrastructure. The multi-layered architecture of electronic commerce comprises of essential blocks has been shown in the figure above. The framework describes various building blocks enabled by technology for creating new market and market opportunities. The building elements of mobile commerce architectures are described as follows. The first building elements is wireless network infrastructure. The combination of several technological such as availability of digital communication through handheld devices, embedded operating softwares for processing information and digital connectivity through wireless networks are all essential requirements for mobile commerce applications to operate. Wireless networks have evolved from the basic voice only radio based analog transmission and have acquired the digital voice and data transmission capability. Wireless networks today are capable of achieving 2 Mbps data rates. Now, see, the following table given below describes the evolution of wireless networks. That is, first is 1G, that is first generation. The channel was analog voice and switching mode was circuit switched, and example was AMPS, and data rates was nothing. And next is 2G. 2G, the channel was digital and the switching mode was circuit switched, and example is GSM mobiles. And next, the data rate was 9.6 kbps. Next is 2.5G, that was also digital, and packet switched edge and GPRS 384 kbps, and data rate was 171.2 kbps. Next, now the last is 3G digital, that was also digital and was packet switched, and CDMA 2000 or WCDMA, or speed was more than this. The early mobile telephone devices were basically analog voice only device that offered voice communication using cellular telephony. The first generation, refers to as 1G in short, use a product of the analog cellular technology developed in 1978, the deployed during the 1980s. The 1G technology were designed to transmit voice phone calls from wireless handsets. These calls are sent in a clear and are easy to intercept by using a scanner. In a cellular mode of communication, large geographical regions are identified and allocated to the service providers. The Telecom Cellular Authorities of India tribe that handles the allocation and other regulatory issues, such as how many players can operate with the specific area. Each of the service provider is allotted a separate frequency that is subhands within the overall frequency allocated or allotments. Service providers operating in a particular region divide the entire region into smaller area called cells. The cellular communication consists of three components. That components are handheld devices, the transceivers within a cell, and the mobile phone switching office, that is MTSO. The service provider places an antenna at the center of the cell. The transmission and reception pattern of the antenna, also called antenna pattern or footprint, in such that it covers the entire cell. These antenna footprints are usually cellular in shape. Now see this cell in advanced mobile phone systems. However, on the map, they are depicted as hexagons for convenience, as they offer an orderly pattern as shown in the figure below. The advanced mobile system 1G. In 1980s, AT&T developed an advanced mobile phone system, that is AMPS, that was developed in much of North America. The AMPS uses 225 megahertz bands, one for transmission from band stations antenna to mobile devices, and other for receiving the signal from the mobile devices. For the transmission from base to mobile unit, 869 to 894 megahertz band, and for receiving from the mobile unit, a 624 to 849 megahertz band is deployed. Each operator is allocated 12.5 megahertz for receiving and 12.5 megahertz for transmitting. Thus, only two providers can operate in the region. Each communication channel within the band is allocated 30 kilohertz, which is which in essence work out to 416 channels per service provider. In AMPS, 21 channels are allocated for control purposes and remaining 395 are used for carrying calls. In AMPS, channels are allocated for control purposes and remaining 395 are used for carrying calls. Due to limited availability of frequency spectrum, frequency reuse plays an important role in AMPS. By controlling the power of transmission from the antenna placed in a cell, it is possible to carry the communication within the cell at the frequency band, but the signal diminishes. It is undetectable level in the adjacent cells. Thus, the same frequency can be used in the cell that are not adjacent to the current cell. As stated earlier, the center of every cell has a base transceiver station. The base station contains all the electronics such as antenna, cables, transmitters and receivers, a power source, and other control electronics. In the case of smaller cells with limited capacity requirements, a signal omnidirection antenna may be able to provide all the coverage. More complex configurations are required for covering large cell with high capacity requirements. The base station offers the following minimum functionalities, that is transmission and reception of signals from mobile devices, support for full duplex communication, intercommunication among base station, interconnection with the controlling MTSO which in turns may connect to public switched telephone networks, that is PSTN, for transferring the mobile calls to the landline and landline to mobile. Each base station is connected to the MTSO through one of the following ways. Depending upon the cell traffic capacity, terrain, and distance between the MSC and the cell. That is, through the high capacity copper telephone line, that is T1 carrier line, through a fiber optic cable, or through a point to point microwave relay. Now see in this diagram, one this cell site is the hexagon nature, and the MSC to other cell sites. This is connected to MSC, and then this MSC is connected to PSTN, and this MSC is the base station operation. And in this way, the cell site is connected to the PSTN and base station operations. The MTSO is also known as the Mobile Service Center, that is MSC. The MTSO provides a central hub like functionality for routing cellular calls. The base transceiver station and PSTN are directly concerned to the MTSO as shown in the figure above. The interconnections between the PSTN and MTSO is through is through the interconnection between PSTN and MTSO is through a high capacity phone line connection, as this capacity determines the number of simultaneous cell to landline calls connections. A call originating with a cell meant for a landline is routed from a current cell to the PSTN through MSC. A call originating in a cell meant for another cell where the mobile phone's user is located is also routed through the MSC. Thus, MSC can keep track of call routes, connections, accounting time, etc. Next, in essence, the controlling MTSO for the base transceiver stations offers the following functionality. The switching functions for the call, that is cell, cell to landline, handover of mobile towering device from cell to cell with no disruptions, data connections for counting and billing purposes, coordination of monitoring and backup facilities. In the AMPS, in the handheld devices or the mobile unit contains the Mobile unit contains a modem that can operate and switch between many frequencies. That is, the device also consists of three identification numbers, that is, electronic serial, mobile identification number, and system identification numbers. Now, first is electronic serial number. Here, the manufacturer places a 32-bit identifier that is difficult to tamper and usually attempts to modify. It results in self-destruction. Next is mobile identification number. This is a 10-digit mobile telephone number of the device represents and stored in 32-bit on the system. Next last is system identification number. Thus this is a 15-bit number that identifies the operator with whom this device is associated. The number also determines whether the device is native to operate or in the roaming mode. In the case of roaming mode, authorization needs to be obtained from the associated operators. Next, operation. In AMPS, whenever a mobile device becomes operational, it senses the received control channels to determine the base station and channels that are clearly received and available. The mobile device sends its identification number to the base station for further transmission to the MTSO. If the system identification number happens to be one managed by the MTSO, the device records to otherwise it is a roaming device and home system of the mobile device is contacted for the authorization and information on how it can be reached by roaming home system user for receiving incoming calls. The mobile device is now ready for monitoring calls that are being placed to the device. The mobile devices also respond to periodic queries of the MTSO for registering the presence of the device in the cell. The mobile device also actively monitor the signal strength of the transceiver control channels as it may transitions through a cell and thus may have to switch the control channel of one cell to the another. At the time of transition of the mobile devices from one cell to another, the power of control channel starts to fade and and as when it fades below certain threshold level, the mobile devices sends a message to MTSO for a new assignments. At this stage, the MTSO assign the new base station corresponding to the cell whose signal is the strongest in the current location of the mobile device. In the case of any channel assignment crunch, the switching handled off device receive priority over a new call originating device. The call originating at the landline or the other mobile devices in the region but destined for the mobile device currently assigned to it at are the receiver received by the MTSO. The MTSO in turn asks all the base transceivers under this control to page the respective cells for the owner of the destination mobile numbers. The mobile device owning the number may receive the paging message from more than one base transceiver. It checks the signal level of all the transceivers and responds through the transceiver whose signal is the strongest. The MTSO then assign the transmission and receiving frequency channel for the conversation. Next, thank you for listening.